So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this roundtable at the Lincoln International Business School. My name is Craig Marsh, and I'm joined by my colleagues and also some of my students and alumni to talk today about what it's like to be a student at the Lincoln International Business School. I hope you're all enjoying the open day so far. We do actually have some students on campus at the moment. As you can see, we're on campus. Myself and my colleagues are sitting in some of the rooms inside the business school that you would be studying in if you were to join us. So I'm in one of the main lecture theatres here called the Harvard Suite, and we also have a live cam actually, which is showing the view from outside the campus. So there we go, and this is the live view, and you can see that we actually do have some visitors on campus today, having a look around. So that's the view from the top of the business school with a view of the library on the left, and the Students' Union on the right. And our students always have a difficult choice to make when they're walking across that bridge as to whether to go into the library or into the bar opposite. I won't comment on which one they tend to do most. So anyway, that's our familiar view opposite the business school. So for the next 45 minutes, what we'll be doing is having a chat about the experience of studying at the Lincoln International Business School, and most importantly, we have some of our students here just to say a little bit about their experiences studying with us. It's a crucial choice that you have to make. You are today getting a lot of information about what it's like to study here, and our job, I think, is really just to make sure that you are making the right choice. So we'll say a little bit about the subjects. We're not going to go into a massive detail on the subjects that we offer at the business school. So we'll just give you a bit of an overview, and then we'll have a chat with some of our students just to talk a bit about the experience they've had, having or had in one case an alumni with us while they were studying here, just to pick out some of the highlights of it. But while we're doing that, you can, of course, put your own comments in the chat. So feel free, if there's anything that you'd like to ask us directly, then just pop it in the comments chat, and we'll do our best to answer those questions as we're going through. So I'd like to start just by introducing, if I may, my senior academics who are with us this morning. And also a person who's really important, who runs all of the global experience, as we call it, for our students, and you'll see a bit more about that in a minute. So if I just go around and I'll ask each of my heads of department, the people who run the academic programs for us at the business school, just to introduce themselves briefly, and also to introduce the student who is in their department. So Joanna, can I start with you, Joanna?
You can. Thanks, Craig. I'm sitting in one of the very large lecture theatres here in the business school, so you can see it's slightly bigger than the one that Craig sat in, just to give you a flavour of the different sorts of learning environments you might find yourself in if you join us here at Lincoln. I'm head of department for management, and that kind of covers everything that isn't covered by the other two departments. We cover a broad range of subjects, from human resource management to logistics, and general business management programmes as well. I'll pause there because there's loads we could talk about, but I really want to introduce you to Alex, who's one of our business and management students. Alex, do you want to say a little bit about your experience and introduce yourself?
Yep, so hello, I'm Alex. I'm a third year business and management student, so I've just finished my degree now. Lincoln's been a fantastic university for me. Even the last year and a half when it's been completely online, there's a real sense of community at Lincoln, which has kind of shone through in all aspects of the university life. So yes, I've come to the end of my degree and I will really miss it.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Joanna. And we will come back and have a chat with you a bit more, Alex, about some of that the experience in a few minutes. So great, thank you, Joanna. And perhaps I can bring Farhan, if I can bring you in next, Farhan.
Thank you, Craig. Very good morning to everyone watching, and it's an absolute pleasure to be with you here today. My name's Farhan Ahmed, and I'm Head of Department for Marketing, Languages and Tourism. And within that, we cover a variant of undergraduate degree programs, from advertising to marketing, to tourism, events and sports business management. And all being well, we will be able to provide you details of those with details on the website. But it's an absolute pleasure to be joined this morning by one of my alumni who is now completely finished here with us, but has a brilliant story to tell us about her experiences with us. So I'd like to introduce Hannah to you all. And Hannah, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, that would be wonderful.
Hello, my name is Hannah. So I studied for 4 years. Actually, I did an undergrad, but then I decided to stay on and did my master's in marketing at the International Business School. And yeah, I really kind of enjoyed my experience, and I found my course very useful especially at what I do at the moment.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Farhan. Thank you, Hannah. I look forward to catching up with you a bit more about the experience you've had, and it's great to hear you come back and join us again as an employee. That's fantastic. So, and finally, in terms of my 3 departments, if I could introduce you, Siobhan, and you're looking like you're sitting in the Bloomberg suite there.
Yes, I have the absolute pleasure, Craig, of being here in our new Bloomberg suite, which is a new facility in Libs, and we're really looking forward to introducing our students to the advantages of studying a course which includes Bloomberg. Why? Because it will give you such a great start and an edge when you are applying for employment after having studied in this real live environment, which is used by thousands of businesses in the financial services area. So I'm going to tell you that I'm Siobhan Goggin. I'm the Head of Department of Accountancy, Finance and Economics. Our programmes range, as the title suggests, from accounting through finance, through, actually, it's not in the title, but we also offer banking degrees, and then finally economics degrees on the far end of the spectrum. So today I'm joined with in the business school with Chloe, and Chloe is one of our 3rd year students. So Chloe, would you like to say a little about yourself?
Hi. Yeah, so I'm an accounting and finance 3rd year. I've actually just finished like Alex. And I've had quite a diverse experience with uni. I've done a few placements and I was part of a few societies, and I've had a really great experience. I wouldn't change anything about it. So I'm really excited to talk about it, and I will miss it as well.
Thanks, Chloe, and we'll miss you too as well. Believe me, and thank you for that. And again, we look forward to talking to you a little bit more in a few minutes about some of that experience that you had. So thank you, Chloe. Thank you, Siobhan. And finally, if I can introduce Judy Turner. Judy, who's going to talk a little bit about the really important service that you run for us. Judy.
Morning, everyone. Hello, I'm on campus as well, which is fantastic for me. I've missed being on campus very much. So one thing that myself and my team do, we run something called the Global Experiences team. And you've heard that said a few times today by some of our students, is experiences. And that's what we focus in on. So we look at international experiences, professional practice years, short-term work experiences. So all of the opportunities that you have throughout your time at the university to make sure that you get the most out of being part of the university community, especially within Lincoln International Business School. So I'm sort of happy to talk about that now, or I'll bring myself in later and talk to you about it once we've spoken to our lovely students.
Thank you so much, Judy. And I'm keen to get our students saying a little bit more about their experience. So, we'll come back to you a little bit later on and allow you just to pick up on 1 or 2 of those really important bits of work that you do with us for our students. So thank you, Judy. Now, before I come back to our students just to have a chat a bit more about their experience, we do have a couple of questions that have come in that I can pick up straight away. So we've got a question from Ben. Thank you, Ben. So Chris, if you could pop that one onto the screen for us, the question. There we go. So Ben's asking a really interesting question about transferring in the 2nd year to the university. Now, obviously, Ben, I don't know too much about your current experience, but I'm assuming that you've got some 1st year experience already. And indeed, when you come in a little bit late into the university, where everything is set up to bring 1st years in, right? So I can assure you that we have a lot of services available in the centre of the university to allow you to get up to speed very quickly. We're used to bringing students in both the 2nd and the 3rd year. So we will in the college pick up your induction to make sure that both from an academic point of view, that we know and understand what you're bringing to the courses that you're joining, but also from a social or an experience point of view, that you find your way quickly and easily into the university. And so what I would recommend that you do, and you have Judy here on the team, is that you send us a note into the university. It doesn't matter where it goes, and we will make sure that we pick up with you directly through the college student administration services to make sure that you're fully inducted into the university. So if you you are joining us, I look forward to seeing you, and hopefully that just gives you a bit of an idea as to where to go. And over the course of the day, you will have picked up, I think, some of the services that we can offer you there. So thank you, Ben. And Ben had a second question. So thank you, Ben. Is there specific buildings where each business course will be housed depending on the course? Well, indeed, here we are in the business school. So this is the home of business education at the university. But actually, we're a fully integrated university. So what we try not to do is just to have you spend all of your time here. So you get to experience actually the full benefit of what is still actually a relatively small campus. So you can probably expect that while you're learning here, that you get taught in different parts of the campus, different parts of the university, but your home and where the majority of your studies will be here in the business school. So there you go, Ben. Thank you for that. And colleagues, anybody who wants to ask questions, we will pick them up as we're going along. And there are perhaps one or two more coming in, and I'll pause again in a couple of minutes and come back to one or two of the questions as they arise. So. Good. So let's have a chat with a bit more detail with some of our fantastic students. And Hannah, maybe I can start with you if that's okay, because you've joined the university again as a marketing assistant, and you've taken quite an interesting path through that, haven't you? Undergraduate degree here, postgrad degree, and now marketing assistant. Perhaps just say a bit about that journey that you've been on that's brought you to coming back to the university.
So I've done my undergraduate degree in graphic design, and actually kind of decided that I feel like a business degree would kind of complement what my skills, because especially with graphic design being quite a practical subject, I kind of wanted to gain more of that business knowledge. So I've joined Lincoln International Business School as a student. And yeah, it was quite lovely for me, and especially like I was comfortable with the city. I knew the city quite well. It's like lovely historic city. Everything is within like walking distance, and for me as well, especially because I was based near Birmingham, so it was great for me to quite easy to travel back to Birmingham. By train from Lincoln, and yeah, university kind of made everything a lot more convenient for me to study, with the library facilities without being open 24/7, and computers being available as well. Yeah, I've also, when I was at Lincoln, I've joined a couple of societies. So I've joined the Mountaineering Society, and actually went for climbing and hiking in like the Peak District. And we went for the international trips as well, and I kind of made a lot of good friends through that. And also, yeah, this is something that I still do. I still go hiking, and that kind of started from my experience at Lincoln. Yeah, and I think like right after I kind of finished my course in marketing, there was an opportunity, and I kind of took almost like an intern role at Lincoln International Business School. So at the moment, I support marketing communications department, but also work on the European funded project. And actually, those both roles, well, first of all, I could apply my knowledge from my master's and also my graphic design undergrad. And they gave me like a better insight into the university and what they do. But also they have a great number of partners that are involved that I wasn't actually aware of until I joined as a staff member. But yeah, I found both degrees quite very relevant to my career choices now.
Hannah, that's what a great story. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And so one of the things that strikes me is what you've managed to develop almost is this kind of combination of skills, haven't you? You had that really kind of creative education in your bachelor's degree, the graphic design, and then you've added this element of a really deep business understanding of marketing, and it sounds like you found that a really good combination that's now serving you well in your job. Is that right?
Yeah, I really kind of, especially in terms of. In terms of graphic design, again, it's like as what you said, it's about the skills and kind of developing marketing materials. But again, with marketing, for example, it's about kind of learned about relationship building in marketing, and that was kind of as well useful for one of the projects, as we're now kind of trying to make relationship with the local SMEs to come onto the project. So that was really, really useful.
Interesting. So say a bit more about the project where you developed those skills. What was that involved?
That was so it's Com3 UL Open Zero Challenge project. I'm involved in that, and and I have been kind of creating a lot of like visual content to promote the project, but also we've been interviewing the local local businesses about their experience of the project, because they would come with their digital challenge that they would require the students to solve, and I'm kind of there to kind of facilitate the process. And it was lovely to meet all these businesses and actually like find out more about kind of their culture and what they kind of expect from the students. And actually it's nice that some of the students from the Link International Business School actually went to work with the businesses and doing internships with them. So it was like lovely. So,
thank you. That's really interesting, actually. And of course, that's it almost sounds like there's a bit of quite seamless, wasn't it? I mean, obviously, in your degree, you were in contact with businesses. You talked about the project they have where they bring a problem to our students for them to solve, which is one of the common things that we do with our students. So you're in contact with the business. So it was fairly natural that you should continue to develop those relationships when you took the marketing job.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Hannah, thank you so much for sharing that. And Farhan, I think Hannah's touched on some really important points and about the sorts of experiences that you're trying to create in your department. Isn't that right?
Absolutely, yeah. One thing that just struck me from what Hannah was just saying is that she demonstrated so much emotional intelligence, in the sense that she realized that after completing her graphic design degree, it would be wise to undertake a business program to give her much more of a rounded skill set, and her to go on to do the MSc marketing program was an absolute stroke of genius, and we're so proud to have her within the business school, and a fantastic ambassador for all of our students in the marketing side of things. You touched upon a very interesting point as well in terms of the experiences we try to create for our students, and again Hannah made a very good point that within our department and across LIBS for that matter, which Julie would touch on in a little while, we try to ensure that we get our students to experience so much more than just a university experience. We try to take them on international study trips. We've had trips to, for example, Sri Lanka. Recently we've had trips further afield in terms of in South America. So as a result of that, what we have is a completely rounded experience for our students, which I know they enjoy so much. India being another example. In addition to that, we also run closer to home things as well, as such, making sure that we take our students to businesses locally, nationally, so that they get a real life experience of what their actual life post-graduation will be like. And that's really important to make sure that upon graduation, they've got that skill set that can take them forward.
Yeah, indeed, and the idea, the important principle, isn't it? The sort of the problem-based learning, where the businesses bring problems to our students for them to solve, that Hannah mentioned. That's a really important part of the learning experience. It's applied, and it's developing the skills both in terms of the academic skills, but also those transferable ones, isn't it? Working in a team, for example, which is, I think, still challenging even when you've been around organisations for a few years, isn't it? So, fantastic. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and Farhan for reflecting on how that represents some of the work that we're doing in our departments to give students that experience. I see we have a couple more questions coming in, which we'll just pop in. So Henry, thanks Henry, you've asked a question about a really critical one, which I know that everybody is talking about at the moment, so thank you for asking it. And Henry has asked, what would be the in-person to online ratio be, and when will we find out? So Henry, I think there's two. I mean, obviously the plans will be for you to join us perhaps in a year or two. Let me say that as a university, we are the model that we have is face-to-face, right? So that's the model. Now we've been constrained, as you know, by the pandemic, and particularly by government advice, which we followed to the letter. So we've had to do a lot of our education online for the last few months. Our students tell us that within the constraints of that's been a good experience for us. You've just been hearing a little bit about some of that experience. But so our intention is that we will return to a face-to-face, predominantly face-to-face experience. It may be that we have to support that with some education online. So that will be possibly still constrained by government. We don't really know yet for sure. I mean, the direction is positive, isn't it? But we don't really know yet for sure what that's going to look like. But we will know probably in the next couple of weeks what that's going to start looking like for our autumn term. And it may be that you're joining us the year after that. But it's a discussion we're having right now. But you will expect that the majority of your education, and possibly all of it, by the time you join us, will be fully face-to-face. Now, what we are doing is keeping bits of the online experience which really do benefit our students. So the ability to be able to take a lecture and be able to watch it whenever you like. So record it, so you can do your lecture face-to-face, then perhaps have it recorded and watch somewhere else. To have material that you can access online, we all think is a benefit to our students. But just to reassure you that part of our community is that you are here physically present and enjoying the benefits of being in the classroom, as we've just been demonstrating. So Henry, that just gives you an idea about that, and we should be able to let you know as soon as we can about that experience. So thank you for asking the question. We do have one or two more questions. I'll pause there and allow one or two more to come back in a few minutes. So because I'd like to pick back up with our students, if I may, and Chloe, I'd like to come back to you, if I may, because I know that you've been extremely successful in your studies with us in accounting and finance. I know you're in your third year, so I guess you just got to the end of your studies with us, and I think you'll be joining PwC, if that's right, and that came from your from some of the work placements you did there. So Chloe, could you just say a bit more about that and where that came from?
Yeah,
Chloe?
so in my first year, I did a finance placement in the uni finance department for 6 weeks, and I kind of went around all the different areas of the department, and it gave me a really good idea of what I wanted to do, because I don't know if I've said, but I study accounting and finance, which is quite a broad subject, and then I decided to apply for the 3-day Women in Work placement, and that doesn't only include women. The purpose of it is for the women in the company to be able to showcase their skills and stuff. So any gender can apply to take part in it. So I did that, and the process to apply for it is the exact same process as if you were applying for a graduate role or for a summer internship. Any type of role, you have to go through the same process. So it was an online assessment, like a games test. We had to do an online interview, and then we had an assessment centre for the day in London. And I got the 3-day placement, and I went down and I decided to do it. No, the 3-day placement was just going around the whole company, and then they offered me a summer internship from the 3-day placement, and I decided to go down the audit route, which was kind of supported by my experience at the finance department at uni. And then when the pandemic came, instead of letting go of me, they've offered me a graduate role instead. So that starts in September, this September coming. I have to get a 2-1 to be accepted. So I'm just waiting for my results on the 21st of July. But I'm very excited about it, and I've had a lot of support from the uni with it as well. All my lecturers have given me advice. I've had my lecturers sit down with me and talk through all the options I can go through. I've been to the Centre for Employment, and they've helped me with interviews and with writing my CV. So although I applied for it myself, I've had non-stop support throughout my degree. And I couldn't have thanked all my lecturers in the uni more for their support, because I don't think I could have done it without them. But there's also lots of different ways that you can go into not just PwC, but companies. So I would say if you are applying to study at uni, take the opportunities that you can get to have experiences, maybe in a business or in the uni department, or just even if you just want to go for a day to a company and shadow someone. It really, really helps to understand where you want to go with your career, because I had no idea whatsoever where I wanted to go. And I think doing your degree is very different to actually working in it. So I would suggest, if you can, just take any opportunity you can, join societies, meet people, because a lot of societies as well have people come in that talk to you about their experiences, and also just talk to your lecturers and everyone that's around you, because everyone's got different experiences, so it really does help.
Thank you, Chloe. So I'd love to hear you telling that story of the journey that you've been through that has now resulted in, I'm sure you'll get your 2-1, but the journey that you've been through to get to PwC, that joining in September, that's such an interesting process that you went through. So and what I'm picking up from it, actually you engaged quite early, didn't you? I think that was probably the key thing. You said you had no idea what you wanted to do, but you went for the work placement, went through the assessment centre, and it's all come from there, hasn't it, in a sense?
Yeah, so I don't know about other companies, but I'm sure it's the same type of process. I actually applied for their 3-day Women in Work placement before Christmas in my first year. And at that point, I'd obviously just started accounting. I'd never done accounting before. And I saw it as an opportunity to explore the field of accounting and finance more. I didn't actually realize where it would go. I'm really glad it's gone where it's gone. But I think what I'm trying to say is, even if you just think, well, going on this 3-day placement or 6-week placement or summer internship might not go anywhere, you don't know where it's going to lead you. And it's always such a great opportunity to get an insight into the field you want to go. Because also you could turn around and say, that's really not for me. I know that now. And then you can look into another line of work. So yeah, I applied early on, very early on. And it has been a process throughout my 3 years. So each year I've had to talk to them and send in my exam results, my transcripts, and keep in touch with the recruiters. So it is quite an experience, but they do let you apply at different stages. So if you are in like your 2nd year, for example, and you think, oh, I've not done the first, I haven't applied, it's okay. You can still take opportunities as you go on through uni. I just think taking as many as possible is the best route to go whenever you can.
Thanks, Chloe. It's that. I mean, I picked up so much from that, but actually, just that, not really sure what you want to do, but just giving it a go. Applying for a work, see what it's like, and even if it tells you that you don't like that choice,
yeah,
that in and of itself is useful information, isn't it? Then you realise that actually that isn't the choice for you. But in your case, it worked out really well. And sorry, Chloe, go ahead.
Well, when I did my 6-week placement at the uni finance department, that's where I actually found out that some of the areas I really didn't want to work in, and that's how I kind of decided that I did want to go down audit. So I do think even if you go into a placement and you really don't like it at the end of it, you've gained so much knowledge anyway, yeah, and you will have learned other skills about it. It's never a wasted experience. It's always worth trying.
Great. Thank you so much, Chloe. Really proud of you, all of us. Siobhan, some interesting insights there, I think, into the way that you run your departments and sort of the kind of experiences that you're giving for your students in terms of that ability to go and get that experience. Really nice to hear Chloe also talking about the support she got from her lecturers in that experience.
Absolutely. And it's great to hear Chloe reflect on her experience in such a positive way. We have staff who have had experience with the Big Four. And so Chloe, I'm sure, made absolute use of the advice that those staff could give her. But it's great that she has got such inquiry, such resilience, and the ability to say, I'll just give that a go. I couldn't have put it better myself, Chloe. If I was trying to advise a student what to do, you have encompassed that in about 3 minutes. So that's absolutely superb. But our staff are really keen to get to know our students and to give them all the help and support they can. Indeed. And Chloe exemplifies that.
Yeah, doesn't she just? That's fine. And in fact, you'll probably see in the chat, Chloe is indeed put a bit of a video together about her journey. So do go and have a look at it. So we're really proud of her, and Chloe, good luck. That's all I can say. So thank you for sharing that. I'd like just to come back to a couple of the questions in the chat, if I may. Henry, you have come back just to confirm the fact you're joining in 21-22. So indeed, it will be mostly face to face. We can't at this point, just in terms of until the government have absolutely confirmed the rules for September. We can't confirm absolutely, but certainly you can expect it to be a predominantly face-to-face experience. That's what we're aiming for. There may still be elements which it will be online, but we just know from our own students, by the way. I mean, we work with our students to help to understand what they want from their experience. It's not just about responding to the government. So it will indeed be predominantly face-to-face in 21-22. So hopefully we'll see you here next academic year. Ben, you've asked about support or provide funding or mentoring opportunities. So I don't know, Chris, you can pop that one on because it's a long question. It's an important one. Funding or mentoring opportunities for those looking to start a business either during or after studies. Absolutely. We're actually seeing more and more of our students indeed wanting to and forming their own companies. And we've got on campus here, if you ever get a chance to join us face to face, Spark House, several of the people who run those companies are actually former students of ours. In fact, we're now working with them. Actually, it's part of our community, and with that, actually, we're going to hear a little bit now from Alex, because Alex has indeed benefited. Now, Alex isn't running her own company yet, but certainly she's benefited from one of those mentoring experiences. So Alex, perhaps I can bring you in at that point, and you can say a bit more about that because it's something that you did, I think, in your second year, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, Al?
Yes, so I took part in the LIBS mentorship scheme in my second year, where you're kind of paired with a professional in industry that's kind of related to, if you know what you want to do, then they try and pair you with somebody who is related to that field. But in my case, a bit like Chloe, I had no idea what it was that I wanted to do afterwards. So I got paired with a lady who works in kind of mental health and that sort of field. And whilst to begin with, I couldn't see how it would be relevant to me, through our meetings, she gave me her contact details, and I had the opportunity to take part in mock interviews, and we went to other businesses to kind of see a day in the life and all of that sort of thing. And kind of the experiences that my mentor shared with me really kind of shifted what I wanted to do. So I kind of decided off the back of that. I'd always been interested in HR, but I decided off the back of that I was really interested in kind of the mental health and well-being of employees, which shaped what I did for my dissertation, which focused on that and through the pandemic as well. And I'm still in regular contact with my mentor today. She has helped me no end. She's passed me so many of her contacts, and kind of off the back of it, I decided, like I say, that's the field I want to pursue a career in, and I've actually achieved I'm going to be joining a mental health care institution for a graduate role. So it just opened so many doors for me. And, you know, if you are wanting to create your own business, being paired with somebody in that industry or that field, or just with somebody with experience of creating their own business, it's really invaluable and something that I would recommend anybody to take part in, regardless of what you want to do, whether you know or not what you'd like to do.
How about that, Alex? And I know I hadn't realised you've managed to get a role in that as well. So many congratulations. That's great news. I mean, if I may just talk about the mentoring scheme. Can you think back to when you took that opportunity? I mean, how did that happen? I mean, it sounds like you had one direction, which was HR, and then what led you to taking a mentor in the first place?
Well, we got a lot of information, a lot of communication about it through our university emails. We had people come into our lectures to tell us all about the programme. And throughout my degree, I'd always kind of taken the attitude that I'm just going to do as many things as I can outside of the actual degree, just to kind of improve my chances, if you like. But when it was the mentoring scheme, I was really interested because it was kind of like nothing I'd tried before. I'd been to guest talks, I'd been to institutional talks, and there's quite a lot of those through the Careers and Employability Centre. And it was great to hear other people's kind of experiences and how they got their jobs and everything. But having that one-to-one with somebody in the industry that you want to go into, I think it's invaluable, and it's not an opportunity that you would really get anywhere else. So yeah, I couldn't pass that up. And we had like a initial meeting where we were told what the scheme would involve and if we definitely wanted to sign up or not. And then we were kind of a couple of weeks later led to a room, and all the mentors were there, and we kind of just got paired with them. And whilst initially, like I say, I didn't understand why I'd been paired with mine, it was the best thing that I did throughout university, definitely.
That's wonderful. And hopefully one of the things that I've picked up from hearing all three of you talk about is almost this kind of this journey. You know, you come to university, you're 18, you've got an idea of what you're interested in, but not what job you want to do, what career you want to do, and what we've been able to do, I'm just so pleased with that, is to be able to provide the support and services to all of you to sort of gradually direct you. And you've taken responsibility for it. You've made the choices. You've been out there and you've pushed that yourselves. But actually, we've been able to craft that for you. And as you mentioned, the mentoring scheme, we do indeed have probably it's strange. We have more mentors available. You know, a lot of our local businesses that we work closely with, local entrepreneurs, they love working with students, and we always have those available to students. And the earlier you start that, the more likely it is you're able to shape your career. So, Alex, thank you again, and congratulations on the job as well. That's really great to hear. So, so Joanna, again, themes in terms of your department, things about particularly entrepreneurship. You know, that really close working with businesses. I mean, I think these are some of the things that are particularly important for you, aren't they, in the management department?
Yeah, absolutely. We wouldn't want anyone to graduate from us who's just done all their learning from textbooks, so or the online equivalent resources. So it's really important we give people real business issues and to solve, and an exposure to visiting speakers, industry visits, I think has already been mentioned. If I might make reference to a question that's come up in the chat as well, because I think this also highlights some of the experiences we've heard from our students. I think it's from Ilania about the content house. Yeah, is that all right? Because I think it's just really, I think it just brings together all the stories we've heard so much, and it's a brilliant question. So thank you for this. And it's about the contact house. Is it all day, 5 days a week? Well, if you're joining us full time, you should come with a full-time attitude that this is treat it almost like a full-time job. Now, full-time jobs might be 37 hours a week, 40 hours a week, 50, 60, 80 hours a week. You need to kind of determine how big that is. In terms of taught content, you'll study 4 modules each semester, and you'll have a minimum, I think it's about 3 hours contact for each of those. So that's 12 hours, even I can do that maths. But for every hour you spend in that direct situation, as a bare minimum, I would suggest another hour outside. Some would say at least 2 hours outside. So immediately you're up to 24 hours. And then, as we've already heard, if you're really going to maximize your learning experience, there's so many other things that aren't necessarily on your timetable that you really need to access and get involved with on a weekly basis to really maximize your university experience. So that could be being part of a mentorship, applying for opportunities during your studentship. So that's all going to take time. Now, you have mentioned about part-time work, and obviously we know that's really important. We know that the financial challenge of being a student, sometimes the financial, you've got to weigh up your options. You know, it might be deciding what you want to do in terms of your next stage in life, and being able to earn money is clearly one of those options that you need to weigh up. So we do understand that's an important part of many students' experience. What I would encourage is, if you can be quite strategic about that, balance that with everything else you need to do. Maybe think about the paid part-time work you want to pursue, because if you can align that with maybe where you want to see your career go later, suddenly you've got loads on your CV that then you can take in further. I'm sure Judy has got more to say on this in a moment. And then just think about when you work and how you work, and at which years you do more or less work, because you might want to just dial back some of that paid employment as you are finishing your degree. So it's a balance, and yes, there will be flexibility in your programme to do that balance, but try and be very strategic about how you want that to work for you, and be quite selfish about that.
Thank you, Joanna. That's great advice, and indeed, as you can see, there's a little bit of a theme from some of our attendees about entrepreneurship, about the support for that. And Judy, perhaps I can bring you back in at that time, because this is your area of expertise. This is your team that provides those all important services to our students, both locally and internationally. Isn't that right, Judy?
Yeah, so obviously our team are here to bring together all the opportunities and experiences that you can have throughout your time at university. And just leading on from a couple of things that Alex has said, for example, in regards to mentoring. So we run a mentoring scheme where we put local businesses and business owners in contact with our students. And we have a pool of around 40 different employers and business owners that we work with on a yearly basis. And to be honest, we found that a lot of our students have recommended it to other students in the years coming up to mentoring as well, because they gain so much knowledge and information from people who have been in business for a specific amount of time. And even when it comes to entrepreneurship, for example, and getting some, I think it was Ben who asked about funding, we do have the student enterprise within the university centrally that we do work with to help you with things like gaining experience about how to actually set up a business. We also have business competitions which will allow you to work out how you would run a business, and these will put you in charge with a certain amount of money, how you promote yourself, how you buy your stock, all the logistics around that. The one thing I do want to sort of bring up is that you're very lucky in the business school. We actually have an employability and placements officer, and we work very hard to make sure that all the things that are available to you throughout the university in terms of getting some skills and opportunities for going into the workplace, we work with Central to help you with that, but we also have our own area that we can help with that. So I think one of the things that Joanna brought up was about being really strategic around your placements, your part-time work, and that is something we can help you with. We have really great contacts in and around the community. We have business startups, as Craig said, within campus that we can actually you can gain some part-time work with them. So there's lots of opportunities for you to gain experience in work. And when it comes to helping you gain experience internationally, which is something we really want you to understand when you come to the University of Lincoln, but specifically within Lincoln International Business School, is it's a diverse environment. You'll be taught by people who are from many different countries worldwide. You'll be learning with people who are from many different countries worldwide. You're brought into that international environment. We then want you to gain experience within those areas to make sure that you understand that the world is a small place now. Wherever you go into work, wherever you go into any areas of your life, you'll be within those environments. We're there to make sure you understand how to gain experience in those, to make yourself feel comfortable, and also to make sure that you really have a connection with the people around you. University of Lincoln, as our students have said, is a real community, and we're there to bring that experience of being part of this community to you, and also to make sure that you bring yourself out within the community and learn as much as you can while you're here.
That's really good, actually. And again, I always pick something up different because I know what your team do. But actually, the part that where students are actually advising each other, that's really interesting. I mean, it's not just your team that are having to do that. What we end up with is the students sort of sharing experiences and expertise themselves, and that's so much in the values of the university, isn't it? Where they take kind of essentially leadership in advising their peers on things, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
We have fantastic students.
As we've just experienced, and I would like to, because we are as ever getting towards the end of our scheduled time, so I would like to finish off with a final word from our students, if I may. And I'm going to ask you the $64,000 question. The one thing that you would say for anybody thinking of joining Lincoln, what would you say is the one thing that you would advertise and say this is why you should come? And perhaps Alex, if I could start with you.
Yeah, so for me, it would definitely be the range of opportunities on offer. You don't just come to Lincoln to study for a degree. You're given you're provided the opportunity to take part in so many more things outside of that really kind of enrich your experience here. Aside from the fact that Lincoln is an amazing city and it's so, close-knit and it's a real community feel, the actual university provides so many opportunities and facilitate your development, and I just think that that's invaluable, really.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you so much for joining us this morning. That's fantastic. And Chloe, from your point of view?
I would say the one thing, because I went to a lot of open days at different unis, and I think one thing that made me really like Lincoln was the fact that it's not too big, where you do actually have like a one-on-one relationship with your lecturers and with your seminar tutors, and if you do need some advice, you can just email them. Whereas when I went to other unis that were very big, I kind of felt like you were just a number instead of an actual student, and I think that's probably the best thing, because I've had so much support from my lecturers. And the other thing I'd say as well is I really like the city. Everything is really close together. The uni campus is really nice, and you do just feel part of a community. You don't feel like you're by yourself or anything at all.
Thank you so much, Chloe. And again, many congratulations and the best of luck with your work at PwC. Thank you, Chloe. And finally, Hannah.
So I would agree actually with Alex and Chloe. I think it's just an amazing place for opportunities, I would say. And I think one advice that I would give is to try to get as much more like practical experience as well, studying as well at the university, because I think that would be quite valuable when you come to graduating, and you will be I feel more confident. And Lincoln again is a really great city and has, I think, one of the best sunsets. And yeah, I love Lincoln. Yeah.
Thank you, Hannah, and thank you to my students for joining us again this morning. And perhaps to finish on, if you haven't had the opportunity to come and visit the city, it is a wonderful place. It's worth a day out, even just to experience the castle, the cathedral. So do come in and see us, and if you haven't had that opportunity so far. So I'm going to leave it there. Thank you to everybody so much for joining us. Thank you for the questions. I hope you've enjoyed your open day with us, and we're going to leave you with this session with just a brief video to show you some of the other highlights of studying at the Lincoln International Business School. Thank you, everybody.
Why did I choose Lincoln International Business School? I chose it because I fell in love with it at the application day.
I chose Lincoln Business School because after speaking to people about their experiences here, I knew that I'd be happy.
So doing a placement gives you so much more confidence when entering the workplace for the first time, because you've got that experience underneath your belt.
Not only will you learn loads of new things and discover what you want to do in the future, but you'll also be more determined than ever when you come back to the final year to complete your degree.
Anything I've learned from marketing to business management, I've put into practice here. I've obviously improved on it. A year working in the business, you achieve incredible things.
Hello, my name is Hao Quach. I'm a principal lecturer and program leader for banking and finance. I'm the founder of the Student Managed Fund at the University of Lincoln. The fund is organized the same way as any professional investment company in the real world. It is one of only few of this kind in the UK. Students participating in the fund have the opportunities to meet with experts from the field, and they are given additional trainings to their works.
So one of the things I enjoy about being a member of Ellsmith is that I get to learn in a practical sense, which I find much more enjoyable and interesting than just learning straight from a textbook.
Being part and a member of investment fund is getting many benefits, and the most I enjoy the personal feedback from industry experts.
Also, it's a great way to develop presentation skills and soft skills, which are highly important for the world of work.
The ultimate goal of the fund, therefore, is for students to gain work experience while they are studying at the University of Lincoln. That helps them prepare for the job market after graduation.
Hi, so I'm Eleanor Priest and I've graduated today with a first class honours in business and finance. I can't even put into words how amazing it was to sit in that cathedral, which is stunning. Like, the pictures don't even do it justice. It just feels so surreal, and it's amazing to celebrate with everybody that you've worked with for the past 4 years, and obviously all your family who have supported you throughout. So yeah, it's been amazing, and it's definitely one of my highlights from university.
So, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our session at this as part of the University of Lincoln Open Day. My name is Craig Marsh. If you haven't seen me already this morning, I'm the head of college at the Lincoln International Business School, and I'm delighted to be joined by my 3 heads of department, so my 3 senior academics in the business school. And I'll just ask them to briefly introduce themselves in a second. But just to say, this is the idea of this session is really to give parents and guardians, and there may be 1 or 2 of our future students in here as well, of course, but the idea is to give our any parents and guardians the opportunity really just to engage with us directly. It's something that we've done in the past when we've had our real open days, if you like, when we've been face to face, and parents always found it valuable just to engage with the senior team at the college and ask us really anything you like. We're very conscious that you'll be advising your charges about the decisions they have to make, and of course there's an awful lot around at this moment about universities, about the experience that we're offering, a lot of controversies around the university experience, and we're just here really to be open with you and share our perspective on that and try and answer any questions you have. So that's the purpose of this session. Pop your questions into the chat. We'll pick them up as they come in. We will just talk about some of the things that we think are of concern at the moment, or that may be questions. But the most important thing is that we get your questions and that we're able to, and we'll do our best to answer them wherever we can. So without further ado, I'll just invite my colleagues to introduce themselves briefly. Siobhan.
It's always difficult finding the mouse. Yes, I'm Siobhan Guggan. I'm the head of Department of Accountancy, Finance and Economics, and I work in a team with about actually 37 staff, and they are a very diverse range of staff. And they, on one hand, we have accountants with professional qualifications who have worked in industry, right across through finance, economics and econometrics, where we have more staff with PhDs with a really academic bent who are driven by their research and they want to share this research with their students. I'm here today in our wonderful Bloomberg suite, which is a new facility at the university and which we hope to introduce and embed Bloomberg in many of our programs, because it is such an advantage for the students to get some experience at this real life financial information source. It's used in industry, it will give them a competitive edge. And maybe I should stop there, Craig.
I know you have project, Siobhan. That's absolutely fine, and I think it just characterises, doesn't it? I mean, I think Lincoln is the opposite of the ivory tower, isn't it? We're totally engaged with our employers, with industry, such that the students really get that experience directly. So thank you, Siobhan. Farhan.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Craig, as well. Yes, my name is Farhan Ahmed, and I'm Head of Department of Marketing, Languages and Tourism. Within my department, we've got 41 academics. And as you can imagine, by the nature of the diverse range of subjects we have, they are from the advertising and marketing fields, tourism, events, and even sports business management. So very much related to topical events going on this Sunday night. And just to add to that, I just want to highlight something Siobhan has just spoke about a few moments ago, in the sense that I have a great, diverse and eclectic mix of academics that are experts within their respective fields, but also many of whom have fantastic practitioner knowledge, which is absolutely second to none in the advertising and marketing fields, and even in the sports business and events environments, where having that knowledge of industry and that real life experience is absolutely key to the student experience. And if I can finish on just one thing, I'm actually a product of the Lincoln system, if I can put it that way, as I did my undergraduate degree here, and the lure of Lincoln brought me back years later. So hopefully I'm able to give parents and guardians an insight from that perspective as well.
Thanks, Farhan. We still forget sometimes what a youngster you still are relative. Thanks a lot, Farhan. And Joanna.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm not muted, am I? Just check. Thanks, Craig. I'm Joanna, and I'm Head of Department of Management. Again, similar to my colleagues, about 40-ish full-time staff, but across the business school, we all pull on a range of associate staff, over 100, maybe even over 200 across different disciplines, who might dip in and work with us, which gives us massive diversity. I'm hoping I've not miscounted. I think 3 Italians in my team, so Sunday night's going to be very interesting for us as a department. And I was going to take a slightly different angle, and definitely a different angle to Farhan. I've been lecturing and also managing a certain degree for over 25 years, and I've kind of grown up with my students. So when I started, I think I was big sister. Now I'm definitely mum, and I'm also mum to well, one's a teenager, but one's 21 now. So one daughter is just about to graduate, and I've got another who's just about to start university. So I'm living the experience of university choices, applications, decisions about the future. So I'm very much sit here as a mum living through this experience as much as an academic today.
Thank you, John. And I don't know if Farhan's children are still a bit young yet for the university experience, but I know that you, Siobhan, and myself all share that experience of having kids of either applying or have just gone to university. And we've I think we know what the questions are that parents are asking as a result of that, because they're asking us and we're asking the same ones. So so perhaps we should just start with the obvious one, really. What's that experience going to be like in September or October when students come and join us? Because there's been a lot in the press about that. Are students still getting value for money? And I mean, I'd be interested in your perspective on this, my colleagues, because you're planning this directly. You're planning that experience for them as we speak. And but I mean, as a general reflection on it, as universities have been caught in a bit of a bind, to be honest, because we've on the one hand, we absolutely have to follow government guidance. We do that. We do it on principle. So we have been constrained by what the government tell us we can and can't do, and we are still constrained for September or October, because at this moment it's not actually that clear what the government guidance is, although it's becoming clearer. So we do know that. And what we do is we work with our students in that regard. So we don't just invent the experience ourselves. Obviously, we take ownership for that, but our students are very much involved in that. It's one of the principles we operate to as a university. So they're constantly reflecting back to us their experience, what they feel they want, and what students are telling us right now, and indeed my own children are telling me, is they want that face-to-face experience. So I think the first thing to say about it is that we are going to put that face-to-face experience whenever we can and how we can right back at the heart of our students' experience in September and October. So it will be predominantly a face-to-face experience. We think, we're almost sure about that, with some elements still delivered through technology-enhanced learning, because there may still be some restrictions on us. And we do know that actually brings benefits from students, actually, in terms of some of the things that gives them, the ability to listen to a lecture over and over again if we record it, the ability to have actually some content delivered through technology, because sometimes that's more effective than being in a classroom, but face-to-face will be at the heart of it. And Farhan, I see you nodding there. I mean, you've been in the heart of this, haven't you? So what are your thoughts on, as you're working through what we're now calling Plan B for September, which is the sort of almost like getting towards the full experience again, aren't we?
Yeah, no, you've highlighted some very important points there, in the sense that we have been relentless in our planning processes in terms of ensuring that we are planning for every eventuality. I think it's safe to say it will be a face-to-face experience supported by online. And, you know, we've learned so much in the last 6 to 12 to 18 months in terms of everything we've gone through. And like you acknowledged a few moments ago, there are some things which students have loved it being supported online by. And if I could give you just one example in terms of personal tutoring, it's been a roaring success in the sense that each one of our undergraduate students is allocated a personal tutor. And what we found through student feedback is that a lot of students are saying that they love that connection they've got with their personal tutor almost instantaneously through various online mechanisms. So we've really learned from the experience, and we are factoring in the best practice and the best practice that we've shared amongst ourselves to our planning for the 4th academic year. And all being well, I think what parents need to be reassured about is they will get the best possible experience, and that will be the best of both face-to-face and online, essentially.
Great. Yes, indeed. Thanks so much, Farhan. So that's one of the things that we are talking an awful lot about. But I think probably just to reassure any parents who are thinking, well, you know, what is my son and daughter letting themselves in for? I mean, is it worth it? I mean, I have to say we're all asking that question. We still think that it is, and part of the reason for that, I think, is that broader, all-rounded experience that we're giving our students. It's, you know, I think what we try and do is combine, obviously, academic rigor. That's important as a university, and particularly a university like ours. But that experience where they're gaining a multitude of different skills and learning certain behaviours and attitudes that we know that our employers are looking for. So, Joanna, I think we've just been hearing, haven't we, about one or two of our own students' experiences that have lived through that. And so, I suppose, you know, the question that we ask as parents is that, you know, are they going to get a job at the other end of this experience? Now, spending all of that money, which it's not really debt; it's a bit more of a tax, actually. But let's call it a debt. You know, it's a significant investment, isn't it? And I don't think, are they going to get a job at the other end of it? I mean, Joanna, go on, you answer that one.
Well, I sincerely hope so, and I think the key thing is the more you put in, the more you get out. And the way that our programs are designed is you can get out of the program something almost from the minute you start. We heard, I think it was from Chloe in our previous session, and she'd applied to join, I think, a 3-day employer experience in her first year, so Christmas of her first year, and that now has led to a graduate job. And, you know, 3 years later. And I think it's having those investments and seizing every opportunity. And that's certainly the advice. I won't use my daughter as she'll kill me if I do, as the example for everything. But I've said to her, you just need to maximize every possible experience that you get offered at university. So we have mentorship programs, so you can work with someone to guide you in terms of career advice, career opportunities. You could maybe work shadow someone and sit sort of side by side. Again, by way of personal anecdote, my very first sort of full-time proper job post-graduation was in retail management. It wasn't really my thing. I couldn't really get very excited about pots of yogurt, and it took me a couple of years to realise that. But that experience was invaluable because I know about stock and order. I'm going to really show my age now. We were just bringing in barcodes back in the day, but all that, you know, sort of new innovative technology was something that I was introduced to, and I've been able to use those experiences in my teaching, as indeed all our academics do. You know, we've kind of lived it for real as well as learnt it from our textbooks. So it's very applied learning, and all of that helps, you know, just lots and lots of different building blocks to make people be able to really maximise those opportunities once they graduate.
It's probably difficult to overestimate the importance that we place on that, isn't it? I mean, not least of which, as perhaps people listening, they're working in businesses. We're measured as a university. We have to meet certain targets that the government set for us, and one of the critical measures that we meet is indeed the employability rate of our graduates. It's something that if we didn't think it was important anyway, the government absolutely makes sure that we do think it is, and that's something that as a head of college, I have to pay attention to. And our employability rates are actually pretty good. And this is so we're talking, 3/4 of our graduates after 12 to 15 months are in graduate jobs. So not just any job, but graduate jobs. And actually a fair proportion of the ones who aren't are in full-time study, because a lot of them choose to continue their studies with us. A lot of them are starting their own companies. And that we've been hearing about that. The graduates are becoming increasingly entrepreneurial. And that's another element of the support that we provide, as you were saying, Joanna. So it is something that we spend an awful lot of time on. And we develop those skills around the subject, and whatever student, whichever subject they're studying with us, they will have all of those opportunities to provide that study. And Siobhan, you're sitting in the middle of our Bloomberg suite, and in a sense, it's some of our, if you like, most technical theoretical subjects are in your departments in some ways, aren't they? But I think the Bloomberg is a really good example of where we can sort of bridge that gap between the really sort of theoretical academic aspect of a subject like banking or economics, and have them experience real-time data and work on that. Isn't that right, Siobhan?
That's absolutely right, Craig. Yes, we are really lucky to have staff who have worked in industry prior to coming to the university. You mentioned banking. We have a couple of staff who have been in investment banking careers and who are teaching banking courses now, and our whole suite of banking has increased as a result of that. Using the Bloomberg Lab when the students come back on site will be a unique advantage for those students. It should give them a competitive edge in the employment market, because this is a system which is used worldwide. It's used internationally. The students will be able to, if they have this experience, they will be able to use this really in many, many aspects, not just investment banking, but in many aspects of the financial services sector. One of the, if you like, one of the positive stories about the lockdown is that our other unique feature, our Lincoln Student Managed Investment Fund, has now gone completely online. So in fact, it has been such a benefit that having it online, that the students who participate now have reached over 130 students, which for us is an enormous number of students to manage. But this is all done by the students. They train the new students as they come in, they set them tasks, and they give them real life working experience in the investment sector whilst they're studying. So many people say, yes, we can take a year out, but actually joining the Lincoln Student Managed Investment Fund, which is a real fund adhering to stock exchange regulations, ensures that the students in that fund are getting real life work experience. They also have input from local industry, and that too is a valuable asset for students whilst they're studying. So for me, the fact that our student managed fund has grown whilst we've been online is a great positive, and it's something to take away from what otherwise potentially could be described as a difficult period.
Mm. Thanks, Siobhan. And for me, one of the things that I'm always continually so proud about actually is the fact that that we bring students in for so many diverse backgrounds into Lincoln, and often from students who've come from perhaps backgrounds where they may be the first at university. It's very common, as I was actually, and it's something that. It's one thing to take a student who's come from a background where University was very common at home. They're familiar with that kind of environment. They know what university is about. We get a lot of students who don't know that, and they come here for the first time. And it's our ability to take them in that sense as an 18-year-old and to grow them, to give them a safe place, safe city environment, safe learning space, to grow and develop and to then leave us and get those wonderful jobs at the other end of it and become what we hope to be, really full members of society. I think that's the key thing we do. And you've just been talking about that. It's students who probably have no experience of working with market data, but who just become completely involved and sometimes entranced by it. I know I wouldn't. It's not my thing, but students do that. And you've just been describing a little bit how they go about that, isn't it?
Yes, it's wonderful actually, Craig, because not only are they learning financial skills, they're actually learning management skills. And that for industry is superb. So we're not just drawing on students from accountancy, finance and economics. We're actually drawing from students across the university. Obviously, some students are hesitant in the beginning because they think, I know nothing about finance. But actually, there is that transition, and they evolve from knowing nothing about finance to knowing something about finance, but also something about other aspects, whether it be marketing or designing computer systems to help the fund managers within the fund follow how their funds are progressing. So there is something for everybody in the fund.
Absolutely. Great, thanks, Siobhan. And you touched on a couple of other things that I know, again, as a parent, that are the kind of questions I asked before I sent my daughter off to university. So things like, what else do you get up to as a student? So we talked about the subjects, but it's the sort of the whole experience, isn't it? And I'm sure any parents and guardians have been listening to and seeing some of the aspects of that this morning. But we talk about one community, we talk about them joining that, and that's a whole life experience, isn't it? And so it's about the city. It's a safe city. It's a beautiful city. We're actually quite distinctive with this relatively small campus at the centre of it. There's none of those, getting late night bus trips to an out of town accommodation somewhere. And Farhan, you've experienced this as can I say man and boy? Is that right? Am I allowed to say that? So you've been through that journey. So what else are we doing to provide that experience? There's extracurricular stuff as well. Obviously, the students' unions work, the exchanges and visits that we provide for them, isn't it? There's loads of things that we give them that experience.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think you summarised it quite well. I grew up on this campus, if you want to put it that way, and I think one thing that just struck me, what you just said a few moments ago, was we are creating or trying to develop students that will become full members of society, and we feel quite strongly about that. And if I could just give you a few examples of how we do that, we are very keen for students to partake in study abroad experiences, whether that be experiences in terms of going on semester abroad, or whether that be study abroad trips. And we try to do both equally as well. And I can give you an example of when I was a student here on the degree that I am now head of department for, was I went to Australia for a semester to study. Now, we don't have a partnership out there at the moment, but we are actively working to re-establish that. And that was a making of me. I went out there, studied, I was living by myself, I was in a completely alien environment. But that gave me life skills that I was able to bring home, and it propelled me through the rest of my degree. And now that I'm head of department, I openly talk about how much of a transformational process that was for me in that sense. In addition to that, we also offer short-term, in terms of short study visits in the UK. We also offer them in Europe, and then also further afield. And if there's any parents and guardians watching, we take students as far-flung to India, to Sri Lanka, for example. And those have been experiences that students have reflected on so positively when they come back, in terms of what they've learned and what it's exposed them to. So it's just a small insight of extra things that we do with them, but I think so important in terms of their overall university experience as well.
Thank you, Farhan. Yeah, you touched on the international thing as well, and actually, I have to say, as a parent, it was never something that I particularly thought of when sending my daughter off to university. But we are an international business school, and that means a number of things. I think my colleagues have talked about the international faculty. We have over a third of the faculty are international. Over 80% of the international students at the university come to the business school. So it really is a multicultural experience. And apologies, colleagues, because you'll have heard me say this before, but because I managed to get out to India last year, one of my favourite countries in the world, with a group of students, where we took them out for a week. They studied at the business school, one of our partner business schools in Mumbai. They visited Dharavi, the slum, an amazing experience. They visited businesses there. We took businesses with us, with the students. And for me, it really characterised, I think, what we're doing with our students. And I shall never forget, I don't think, sitting next to Rebecca, one of our students, who's now come back and doing some marketing with us. And we were being serenaded by a guitar player in a restaurant in Mumbai, and we were chatting about it. And she started to sing along to this, and it was a Bollywood number. Now Rebecca's from Hull, and when she came to the university, I think she'd really left Hull, actually. And there she was and said, "Okay, Becky, go on, tell me how you know that song." And she knew it because she'd learned it from a group of Pakistani students when she was on a previous exchange in China. And I thought, and there she was in Mumbai singing along to this Bollywood song. And I thought that, in a sense, characterises what we're doing. Here's a young woman who'd not really left the region, and here she is with just that cultural experience, that international. And I thought that's why we're here. That's what we're doing. So I really wanted to finish with that, because it's that global citizenship that we're generating and creating with our students as well. And that, I think, is so important for us. So anyway, we've the four of us have been wittering on probably for a tad too long. I'd like just to finish off, please, for any parents or guardians who are listening. Hopefully that has been useful. Please do contact us. I mean, you've had the contact details in the chat, I think. We're always open to a conversation. If there's any particular concerns for your own son or daughter about the choices that they're making, we all appreciate just how tough that choice is. And for us, it's crucial they make the right one. And if you come to the end of today and you think, you know what, Lincoln is not for them, well, they've got to that's fine too. It's important they go to the right university for them. Many students do make the choice. We hope that they do choose us, and so do contact us if you have any follow-up questions, and then please do have a look at the university physically, face-to-face, and the city as and when you get that opportunity, because it is in fact one of our key selling points. And with that, we'll perhaps just finish with our famous campus cam, which shows the campus and the view. This is live. This is showing the campus from the business school, and there you can see the library on one side and the students' union on the other. And actually, that's probably it. And the horizon there is the end of the campus. So it's about 20 minutes from one side to the other. So and it is, for once over the last few days, a nice day to have a look at it. So we'll finish with that. Thank you for listening, if you have been listening, and please do enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.